Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to put some handles on some coffee mugs for my new wood kiln that will be firing in about a week. So let's go. Alright, here we go. I'm going to show you real quickly my setup, how I like to put on handles. Number one, I like to stand up while I'm putting on handles because I can keep my back straight. I can use this rack so I can adjust the height of the shelf where I can set the mug and work on it at the height that I want. And it might need to go a little higher than this. I just have this set up here. I haven't even put on a handle yet. I've got my, I'm putting on extruded handles today. I do 3 or 4 different kinds of handles depending on what style of mug and how I'm feeling, all that. But I'm putting on extruded handles today, and there's different ways to put on extruded handles. So I'm just going to show you this one way. It's not the right way. It's just the way right now that I prefer to put on handles. So I've got those all extruded. I've got a couple of them cut so I can test the length. I've got my my scoring tool here, which is one of these thin metal ribs with a jagged edge. I've got a paintbrush. I've got a little bowl of water here. I got a wet sponge, and then I've got my bowl of slip here. So we've got all the mugs back here under the plastic. Anyway, just wanted to quickly show you my setup and how I do this. And then I'll also get a towel set up here so that I can wipe my hands off while I like to have everything right here as I get started so that as I'm rolling through the mugs, I can just bring 1 or 2 over here, put the handle on, go put it up, and keep rolling through them so I can get them done as quickly and the most efficiently as possible. So anyway, I'm going to test the first couple and then I'll bring you back once I get rolling. Okay, I've got the handles. I'll cut the same length. I'm doing 5.5 inches on these. I've already handled about 5 or 6, and so we're going to get rolling. And I'm going to show you how these handles are done, and then for the rest of them, I might just speed it up, and we'll have a fast go at the rest of the. I had about 40 mugs to begin with, and so anyway, I've got 3 different styles of mugs that I made the other day, 3 different shapes. But anyway, these are. All these handles are kind of like an oval shape, kind of with like a point at the corners. And so I take each handle and I take one end and kind of where I've cut it, I kind of round all those edges off like that. And then the other end I take and actually flatten it because I'm going to attach this handle straight onto the mug. So that it kind of resembles a handle that is attached and then pulled from the mug. And it also gives the handle a little bit more room and more stability, I think, than doing like a strap handle that connects here and goes up and then down. Those always seem to me like they tilt forward when you hold the mug with one of those that's attached here and then loops up and down. Just my preference of the way I feel a handle. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to make is something that feels good in my hand. Anyway, so once I have that flattened and a little bit bigger on that end, and I've got the other end smooth, I'll take the mug, score it up near the top in a pretty small area. I try not to score too big of an area because I don't want that scoring marks to be outside of the area of my handle. And then another thing that I used to do is I used to take slip and put it on the mug, and there's nothing wrong with that either, but I found that just by putting the slip on the end of the handle, then I get the right amount every time, and I get it just where I need it by just putting a little bit of slip on the end of the handle like that right there. Then I've got enough slip on it, and I've already got my spot scored, and now I'm just going to kind of push this into the mug, kind of use both hands, kind of wiggle it back and forth, and also get those corners pushed in. Once I've got that attached, I go ahead and actually bring the bottom down and attach it. I don't have to score and slip the bottom because the bottom of the mugs are a little bit more wet. And so I'm going to just add a little bit of moisture there by licking my finger. You're probably not supposed to do that, but that's what I do. And then attach that, push that in, flatten that out. Then also I add a little bit of clay as a button at the bottom. I just take a little ball of clay off the extra clay from the handles. Flatten that and lick that as well. Make it wet. Put that on there, and I have my custom stamp here that I made. stamp that in the bottom for the button. Then I usually take my my paintbrush and clean off the extra slip right around the handle. That's one of the reasons I have the sponge here, is to clean off the brush as I'm wiping away the slip. Do that on each side. Found this is a little bit easier than trying to attach that and then get my finger in there, and sometimes I'll end up messing things up with the brush. It smooths it out, gets all the extra slip out of the way, and then I come back and look at it from the side to get my shape correct. Make sure the handle's shaped well, and then I set this over here on the table, and later I'll come back and put the little thumb grips on there. So we'll do a couple more here at regular speed, and then we'll speed up through the rest of them, and then I'll come back and show you guys how I do the little thumb grip. Welcome back. Now I'm going to show you how I do the thumb grips on my coffee mug handles. I used to just take a little ball of clay like this and I would stick it on there and kind of mash it down and make like a little thumb grip that was like that. And those are still cool. I like those. But with this new style of handle I started doing, I changed up my thumb grip as well. And I like it better. It probably takes a little more time than the other one, but like I said, I like it better. What I do is I keep some of the scraps of my handles. Like this is one that had a little groove in it that I didn't like, so I set it aside. And what I do is I'll probably be cutting them down here, but just for an example, I'll show you. What I would do is take, maybe a little 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch slice of that handle. I cut it that way, and then I kind of cut it again long ways, maybe not quite in half. And it gives myself this little rounded half part of the handle. And then all I do with that is I usually add a little bit of water. I need to get my little bowl back over here, and I set it on like that, and then I smooth down the bottom side, and then I go on the top side and I smooth that down. And then usually, let me get my water bowl back over here. Just get a little water on my finger and I run it on the top and on the bottom, just to smooth it out. Wipe it down with my sponge, and there we go. So, give you an idea there of what that looks like finished. Like I said, it's just like a little 1/8 of an inch slice, and then cut that in half, a part of the handle, so I get that curve on there. And then when that's done, it makes a really nice, comfortable thumb grip that's not too obtrusive, and but it still gives you something to hold on to there on the top of the handle. So we'll do a couple more at regular speed, and then we'll fly through the rest of them. I'd say one of the major downsides to doing this kind of thumb grip, or really any thumb grip, is that you can't put the thumb grip on while the handle's freshly put on the mug. So I have to pick all the mugs back up again and to put all the thumb grips on, and that just adds a whole nother time that I have to touch each of the mugs and pick them back up off the table and move them. So all those things in pottery, if you're making any kind of production, all those things is really what adds up to all the time that it takes to make anything. Because if I can make something that doesn't need handles and I just set it aside and it can dry on the bat, and I don't have to touch it again, it almost feels like I'm cheating. Because it's like, well, man, I only threw that and I set it aside, now it's dry and I sign it, or it pops off the bat and I sign it, and I'm done. So, these little thumb grips don't take very long at all, and I'm not worried about them all being exactly the same. But I just, like I said, cut a little slice and cut it in half. Add a little bit of water. I'm not really trying to add a bunch. Just add a little something to help it adhere and to give me something so I can smooth out this clay here when I do that. And I just kind of do my thumb on the top and the bottom there, and then, like I said, then get a little water on my finger just to smooth out all that I've attached. Sponge it off, and there we go. And we're out of hyperdrive. So I don't know how long this video is yet, so I'm going to check that before I finish, and either we'll finish it up tonight or maybe I'll show you all the pots that I got ready for the wood fire and where the kiln is at this stage. That's probably what I'll do that tomorrow morning and then finish up the video. But anyway, hope you guys learned something and enjoyed that, and see you in a second. Well, there we go. That'll wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I tried to do a little tour of all the pots I had made so far and a little bit of the kiln. It is just about done. All I have is like 2 courses of those big block in the chimney. Do the insulation and coating on the top of the arch, and it's pretty much ready to roll. So I should be firing next weekend, which may not mean a whole lot based on when this video is released, but according to my time right now, next weekend I'll be firing for the first time. My shelves, half of my shelves came in a couple months ago. The other half of my shelves were supposed to be here the end of August to 1st of September, and here it is the middle of October, and I still don't have them. They are in the US now, but they have not made it to my house. That was part of the ups and downs. I was going to fire my kiln about 2 or 3 weeks ago, have my kiln opening this weekend coming up, and it just, things fell through, and it was very disappointing, very depressing in a way. So I spent a few days just really upset and really mad, and just had to get over it and move on. So it gave me a little more time just to do some other things and relax a little bit. And now things are ready to roll as long as the shelves show up. And I've got a few more days for them to arrive before I need to start loading, probably about a week. And then I'll start loading and fire this kiln next weekend. So anyway, thank you guys for being here as always. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment, question, anything you need, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.